Material Kanban for Opcenter Foundation helps manufacturers to optimize their material supply from the warehouse to the shop floor. Let's first have a look into the web interface of Opcenter to view the material levels per material buffer of the production area. In Opcenter, the buffers are called identifiers. The buffers are refilled from the warehouse. The material levels from the buffers in Opcenter are synchronized with the Material Kanban for the Opcenter app. In the Material Kanban for Opcenter Foundation app, we have two roles, the Material Manager and the Warehouse Worker. The Material Manager can see and control the material levels of each area and request new materials as required. The Warehouse Worker receives the Kanban cards and can stage the materials accordingly to refill the material positions on the shop floor. We start with the Material Manager. In the middle of the screen, he sees the material levels per buffer and material. Key performance indicators help to keep an overview about how many materials are available, which material levels are below the minimal threshold, how many Kanban cards have been requested, and how many Kanbans are being processed right now. On the right side of the screen, the currently requested material Kanban cards are visible, so that the Material Manager is able to monitor the status and progress of the material requests. It is possible to filter for a specific material buffer in order to gain a more specific overview of the material levels in a specific area of the shop floor. To activate the filter for the buffer, we can easily select one or multiple available buffers and the dashboard will adjust accordingly. Modifying the selection is straightforward. To eliminate a specific filter, simply click on the X next to the listed entry. In order to show all entries again, the clear button can be pressed. When clicking on an entry, we can access the details overview of the material. Information like material descriptions and the buffer details are visible on the left. The middle tab shows the stock details of the material. This includes the current stock, the configured stock warning level, and the stock history. The stock history includes the goods receipt and goods issued, which are in sync with Opcenter. On the right side, the latest Kanban requests can be reviewed. By clicking on them, you can view the corresponding details. There are three ways to request materials in the app. Firstly, when a specific material falls under the threshold, an automatic Kanban card is sent to the warehouse. Secondly, the Material Manager is being informed about a low material level and can request the materials manually. The third option is for the Material Manager to request materials independently when the levels are too low. Let's take a look into the automatic request. In Opcenter, we can set the level for a material manually. We will lower the level under the configured threshold. After the materials sync, we will find an automatically created Kanban card in the material details. There is an indication that the card was generated automatically. The Kanban card is then forwarded to the warehouse for material staging. The Material Manager is notified about low material levels. When clicking on the notification, the current levels and the material status is displayed. By clicking on the Request a Material button, it is now possible to request new materials directly from the notification. The quantity can be entered and the deadlines can be set. The material and buffer data are pre-assigned according to the notification. Once finalized, the material is requested from the warehouse. Now the warehouse worker takes over. He accesses a Kanban board where he can process the material requests. He's able to filter for buffers, which are also called storage locations. The board can be sorted to the nearest deadline or latest deadline. It is also possible to search for specific material names and card IDs. By clicking on a card, the worker can see the details of that card. He can also assign cards to himself to work on these exclusively. The Warehouse Manager is able to process the Kanban cards by dragging and dropping them from line to line. The Up Next line indicates the next 3 cards to be processed according to the filtering and is refilled once a card is dropped to another lane. Rules are defined which prevent the user from dropping Kanban cards into the Up Next line, as this line is filled automatically. The warehouse worker can now drag and drop these cards to In Progress and stage the materials in the warehouse management system. Once he's released the staged materials to the shop floor, he can process the cards to the completed line. The warehouse management system updates the stock accordingly to Opcenter. The Material Manager of the Material Kanban for Opcenter Foundation app has encountered a new requirement. They need to adjust the quantity and deadline of their current Kanban request. Fortunately, adding this functionality is quite simple. Let's walk through the steps together. Firstly, we need to locate the Kanban card details page, where we want to incorporate the edit button. To achieve the desired structure, we'll add a grid container. This will provide the necessary layout. Next, we'll add a button that triggers a microflow. We'll name this microflow act_Kanban_card_edit. And select an appropriate icon for the button, adjusting its appearance to ensure a visually appealing interface. Now, let's focus on the functionality of this button and navigate to the microflow. Our objective is to access the edit page. To accomplish this, we'll use the Show Page action and reuse the existing Kanban card New Page. However, since we only want to edit and not create a new request, we should override the page title to Edit Kanban Card. To ensure proper access control, we'll add an allowed role to this microflow, specifically the Material Manager role. This will restrict access to authorized personnel only. Remember to save and run the project. With these steps completed, the implementation is now finished. Let's take a look at the updated page and see the changes in action.